Hello, hello, everyone. Hi, guys. This is Ifama Odunlami, immigration attorney from the Odunlami law firm in Cedar Knolls, New Jersey. So, I was not here all of last week. The week before, I was sick, and you can still hear it from my voice. I was sick, traveled, and I think I caught something at the airport. So, I was actually out of work a few days, but I feel better, and I wanted to bring some breaking news to you guys. So it's just news, and we'll talk about, and I'll answer your questions, of course. So thank you guys for joining me. If you are, let me know where you're joining in from. Hey, Ayodele, how are you? So guys, there's been a couple of developments. One not great and one good. So I wanted to share it with you guys because it's important for you to know what's going on in immigration. An empowered immigrant is an immigrant who knows what's going on, because honestly, there's so many wrong information out there. Every time I do consultations, I'm always shocked at the wrong information people tell intending immigrants, and sometimes those information can really hurt their case. So today, without further ado, let me introduce myself. For those who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Ifama Odunlami. I am an immigration attorney from the Odunlami law firm. I am located in New Jersey, but I help clients in all 50 states and abroad. I'm an immigrant, as you can tell, an immigrant from Nigeria. And me and my family, my mom, my siblings, my father passed away a while ago. We're here, immigrants. None of us were born here, so we're going through this process that a lot of you are going through, and I want to tell you to hang in there. Okay, you do get to the what do you call it? You will get to the place you desire to get to, whether it's a legal status as a green card holder, a U.S. citizen, whatever. So just hang in there. It's tough, but that's what your attorneys are here for, to walk you through the process. So I'm going to share my screen because I feel the best way to explain this is for you to see it. Don't get bogged out by the data. I'm just showing you so that you understand what I'm talking about. So let me present my screen and share screen. So let's see, visa bulletin, April 2023. All right, so we're basically talking about the fact that the visa bulletin has changed. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's, oh boy. Well, how did that, okay, yes, let me get back there. So I think you can see this, right? So I'm gonna scroll down. This is a visa bulletin for April 2023. And there's been a change, and the change is for those in F2A category who are filing by consular processing. What do I mean by consular processing? I mean that your loved one, your intending immigrant, is abroad and you're filing to get them here. That's consular processing. Now, if you're here in the United States, if the intending immigrant is here in the United States, they are filing for adjustment of status. That's how they're going to get their green card, by adjusting their status. So the category that has changed is called the F2A. So it's for spouses and children of permanent residents, and children mean under the age of 21. So in the past, this is the F2A category here. And in the past, this category was current. It had C marked there, CCC, which meant that there was a visa available. You could file, go through the process without having to wait for your priority date to be reached. So as of April 2023, that changed. It's no longer current. It's not current for China, India, Mexico, Philippines, so or anybody else, all over the world. So basically, if you're in the F2A category, which is you're a green card holder, Your spouse is a green card holder filing for their spouse and children. If your green card holder is filing for your spouse and your children, they're working on cases that were filed September 2020. And for all other countries except for Mexico, which is even further, 2018. So this is what we call a retrogression, because in the past, it was current. Now it's no longer current. It's retrogressed to 2020. And so what does this mean for you? It means delays, more and more delays. You're going to wait until your priority date is reached before you can move on with the next process. So now this is for people who are doing consular processing. But the good news for people who are doing an adjustment of status, even in the F2A category, is that it's still current. See, it's still current. So that's good. So if you're in the United States as an intending immigrant and you are in legal status, because you must be in legal status for you to be able to adjust your status under this preference group, you have to be in legal status. So if you're in legal status, you can go right ahead and continue. You can do the I-130 and I-485 as a one-step application at the same time because your priority date is current. That's what that means. So now let's go to EB4. That's another category that experienced retrogression. So let me see if I can go to the visa bulletin of March. So look, just check this out. This is an EB4, fourth category. SJIS, Special Immigrant Juvenile Status. This is the same category they also use as well for adjustment of status. I don't think it changes. Okay, it doesn't change that for you guys. But as of last month, I think it was February. It went from February 2022. Now it's retrogressed to September 2018. So that's not good news. It means just a lot of waiting, a lot of waiting. And it's September 2018 for all countries except for, I think it's actually September 2018 for all countries evenly. Because typically Mexico and Philippines, India and China, sometimes they have worse, they experience the wait worse because there are lots of applications coming from there. So Lordish says, are you addressing people's concerns and questions here? Yes, Lordish, I will address your questions. But I just want to get this done, and then you can post your questions. I'll take a look at it. So what this means, of course, is that there's just going to be a lot of wait, and you won't get if you're in consular processing, you will not get an interview date until your priority date is reached. If you're a special immigrant juvenile status, what it means for you is that you can file your I-360, but you're going to have to file it alone because your priority date to allow you to adjust status is not current. So you file the I-360. When the I-360 is approved, then you can file for a work permit based on your SJIS. This is actually a new law that came in, I think it was last year, to allow people who are waiting under the SJIS, Special Immigrant Juvenile Status category, for children, Special Immigrant Juvenile Status, it allows them to work while they're waiting for their priority date to be reached. So this EB4 also applies to religious workers. So the other news I have for you guys is kind of good news. It's the extension of the temporary waiver of the 60-day rule for the civil surgeon's signatures. So let me explain this to you. So when you are applying for to get your green card, you have to do the medical exam. That's a form I-693. In the past, you would have to submit the signed form from the civil surgeon within 60 days of his signature. Otherwise, USCIS would kick it out. So now they've waived that rule. Actually, the rule was waived as of last year, I think September, but they've extended it. So you can just go in now when you're applying for your, say you're doing adjustment of status, go ahead and do your I-693 medical exam and submit it with the rest of your package. And that's a really great thing because it's in marriage cases, a lot of marriage cases are being waived. The interviews are being waived. So if you have your complete package, you have your I-693, you have a really great submission, you may be one of those that will get your interview waived. Actually, this morning, a client of mine had checked his case. We haven't received the green card yet, but he got his interview waived. We had submitted the I-693. We had done a great submission, and it's waived. So he never attended an interview. So that's something that you guys can do. So if you have any questions, this is a good time to post the question so that I can answer your questions. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, YouTube, I'm on Facebook. So I may not know where you're asking the question from, but I will answer the question. So I have Wasif Butt that says, hi, I have I-360 VAWA self-petition processing at Vermont, while I-485 is held in abeyance at NBC. To renew my I-765 EADCO9, should I mail my renewal application to Vermont? Well, it's actually Nebraska now. We're not processing in Vermont anymore. So yes, we send it to, we typically send it to where the I-360 is, and they forward it anyways. So, but what I want to tell you is you need to check the correct address, because that address has changed. It used to be Vermont. It's not Vermont anymore. It's now Nebraska. So check the address before you mail. You send it in. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you for that question, Wasif. But that was actually a really good question, because for a while, we were a little confused too, because some people mail it to the I-485s and they say they get, they get their authorization. We mail it to the VAWA units, and they forward it. So I know people do it differently, and there's been a this has been a topic of conversation. Where do you mail it? So it's a really great question. So guys, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to sign out, but I'm waiting to see if there's any more questions. And in the meantime, we can talk about the importance of timing. Guys, up until last year with SJIS, which has a priority date of 2018, up until last year, before February, the priority date was current. My SIJ clients, we were filing a one-step petition, the I-360 and the I-485 application. And guess what? A lot of them were getting their green cards anywhere from 5 months to 9 months. I think the longest we ever had was actually exactly a year, because it was just a week before her birthday. But a lot of our applications, a lot of our green cards were coming in about 9 months, some 5 months, 8 months, 9 months. And now that can't work because the priority date is not current. So I got to tell you, if you qualify for relief, don't waste any time. Really, go for it. So I have another question from Finance Shandy. Says, I'm from Maryland. Can a child that got a green card from SJIS file for the parent? So Finance Shandy, that is a really, really great question. And the answer to that is no. If your child or a child that got an SJIS, got a green card through SJIS, they cannot file for their parents, even the non-offending parents, because the SJIS does not require you to show abuse, neglect, or abandonment from both parents. One is enough. But the way the law works, to avoid collusion, even the non-offending parent, that child cannot file for them. Okay? I hope that answers your question, Finance Shandy. So Boss Lady says, hello, I asked a question. Boss Lady, where's your question? I don't see your question. Can you put it down again, please? I'll be glad to answer it. I don't see the question. So yes, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually had a consultation with a potential client today, and that was one of the things they talked about, whether they could file for the offending parent. And I was like, no. Another thing with SJIS, since we're talking about things you cannot do, if you file SJIS, you cannot get married. until your SJIS is approved. Same thing with VAWA. If you file VAWA, Violence Against Women's Act, you cannot get married until that petition is approved. If you get married, it's deemed abandoned. Boss lady, I'm still waiting for your question, okay? I don't see it if I, so please go ahead and ask the question. So what else, guys? I want to answer questions. I have to get off in a little while, but I'm here to answer some questions. But I don't see any questions, so I guess you guys are good. So those who are joining me on Instagram, I'm sure you're wondering why I have a different background on Instagram and I have a different background on Facebook. We moved to a new office, so we are still trying to decorate, and so I'm using virtual backgrounds so that I'm just not staring at a white wall that washes me out. So guys, I think that's pretty much it. So like, share, follow, don't forget to subscribe so that when I come on, you get this information, which I try to come on when there's new breaking news or also when there's information to discuss. So boss lady, still no question. I'm so okay. You on? Okay, I see the reason I'm not asking your question. You're on YouTube, but I still don't see any question. All I see is this. I don't see any question. All right. Okay, guys. I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes for any more questions. Okay. Wasif says, I applied for VAWA work permit. Wasif, let me put this question. Okay, this is boss lady. Boss lady says, I applied for VAWA work permit and adjustment of status, and I also added my son to my case. When will we do the biometric and get our work permit? I got my prima facie letter last December. So boss lady, you applied for work permit and so what it seems to me is that you filed your VAWA and you filed your I-485 package, which includes the work permit. Yes, you did that, right? And so you got your prima facie, but you didn't get a biometrics. So, well, typically you get a biometrics within, I'd say, like 2 months of filing. But what we've seen recently is that they're waiving the biometrics requirement. But when they waive it, they have to send you a letter telling you that they're waiving the biometrics requirement. So if you've had a prior filing, they may opt to waive the biometric requirement. But if you don't have that letter, then you should call the main office, the 800 number. Don't assume that they didn't send it, because I had a client who didn't get a potential client who didn't get a biometrics, and the case really stalled for them until they called us and we inquired, only to find out that the biometrics was sent to them, but it was returned because for some reason it didn't get to the right address. So you really want to follow up on that because it typically doesn't take this long to do a biometrics. So call the 800 number and tell them that, make sure that there's nothing out there, no letter out there that you've missed. Okay, I hope that answers your question. So Wasif asks, Wasif says, also to apply I-131 advanced parole, should I mail it to Vermont, Nebraska, as well as, or NBC? Well, you know what? You can do both if you want, because you're not paying any filing fees, because when you file the I-485 and you file the adjustment of status and you file the advanced parole, there's no filing fees. So if it makes you feel better, if you want to feel like you've, you want to feel that you've, dotted all the I's, you can send it to Nebraska and copy the I-485 unit. We did that one time for a client and we got two I-131s. So the other question you ask is, after filing VAWA, does NBC have any role or does everything go to Vermont/Nebraska? So this is how it works. The VAWA unit, whether it be Vermont or Nebraska, is now at Nebraska, handles the VAWA application, right? Your I-360. So when the I-360 is approved, God willing, the VAWA unit will reach out to the I-485 field office to let them know to schedule an interview, because the I-485 is the adjustment of status. That's what allows you to get a green card. The VAWA approval is a deferred action. A deferred action means you will not be deported because you have a deferred action. However, to get a green card, that's I-485. So typically, they schedule an interview, and it could take anywhere from 2 months to 6 months, 7 months for them to schedule an interview. Depends on what the how fast that field office is processing their interviews. So when they call you for an interview, then you go in, and what they check for during the I-485 interview is for admissibility issues. Do you have inadmissibility issues? Have you committed a crime, misrepresentation, fraud? So just because you get your I-360 approved, which is your VAWA approved, does not mean you're going to get a green card. If you have admissibility issues which prevent you from getting a green card, you can continue to work. You get a work permit, which you renew every year based on your deferred admission under the VAWA. So for those who cannot adjust their status and get a green card because they've committed some kind of crime or some kind of misrepresentation that is not waivable or something of that sort, then you will be able to stay in the United States and work in the United States. You will need to, you'll get your green EAD, employment authorization under C-31, and you can renew it every year. All right, guys. I hope that answered your question, Wasif. But thank you for that great question. You have some really great questions. All right, guys. So I have a meeting at 1:30. So I just wanted to reach out, talk to you guys, tell you what's going on. And so if you find this information helpful, please share with other people. There's a lot of people who are being fed wrong information that could, basically derail them from getting their green card. So please share, follow, like, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, you guys have a great week, and I will be back next time, okay? Take care.